the test plane here, getting some linkage rods installed, made out of paper clips, just like so. Just like so. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff with this thing. We're going to put the reflex on it with just about every plane they have so we can see what the differences are, and we're going to do all kinds of AS3X stuff. We're going to use our imagination and pretend that this test plane is anything and everything, and we'll be able to see how things act in real time. We'll do dual aliens and quad aliens, and 2 servos for flaps and 1 for the aliens, and then we'll get into the servo setup and do sub trim, and we're going to do all kinds of cool stuff, and we're going to learn it all together. Learn it all together. So I'll show you how I'm taking these paper clips and turning them into linkage rods. That one's tight. And we're going to take a little paper clip here, try to straighten it out as best we can. Oh yeah. Like that. And then we get the Z-bend pliers, which are pretty cool. Take your control rod and you put it in the Z-bend pliers just like that, and now you have your Z-bend. These paper clips are long enough for me to do a Z-bend on each end, and then I can cut it in half and get 2 out of it. So kind of stick them on there and figure out where it needs to be. That right there. Now we have 2. Just like so. Just like that. Need to center all the servos, but I'm going to tighten up the grub screw so it doesn't fall out. And we'll put one right here. Ooh, this one might not be long enough. All this hardware is just a bunch of random stuff I've had around. Barely long enough. Let's see if this one's gonna cut it. What did I do? Widen up the wrong one? Boy, I sure did. I think I need to widen out the top hole so they're all uniform. Now it will go through. Close. One left here. One left. Oh, then we got the back. Do the old Z-bend, the Z-bend pliers again here. Bada bing, bada boom. Just like so. Like that. Alrighty. Oh no, the back's done. Sweet. All right, we got all our control rods set up. We need to center the servos. Got a cheap little servo driver here, tester, in like that, and it's got 3 settings: manual mode where you can twist it, the center mode where they're centered, and then automatic, and it'll sweep the servos back and forth, and you can adjust the speed and have up to 4 servos doing it together. So let's do looks like these 2 will be easiest to get to. This is the farthest one, so it's going to be a little tough. So it's centered. Let's lift it up and we can see that. And then there's the manual mode and center. So that's center. Doesn't need to be all that tight. And then we can put this other 2 in there. So these 2 are in their centered position now. Looks like that one can come up a little to match the one next to it. Not perfect. This is nothing that's going to fly. Oh, this rod is on a bad angle. I should have glued the horn out a little farther, but oh, to the well. It's test plane. All right. No, that's not right. This one's all wacky. Wonder why the neutral. Oh, I need to move the arm on the servo. All right. L screw and driver. How come you guys didn't tell me that? How come you didn't tell me? Now that looks better. Now let's see him. Nope, and it popped out. Forgot I loosened that guy up, huh? Take three. There we go. center. Center up this side. Farthest one out. Then the other two. Right there. See if we can get the third one plugged in. We'll watch them all. Watch them all work. Well, when you got them plugged in wrong, now they're all plugged in right. There we go. Look at that. Oh, and one came off. That's why we're working on here. I think that linkage rod is a little too short on that one side. We got an extra one here. Let's pop it in there and see if it's longer. I think I actually need to make a new one. Do the fun part together again. Bada bing, bada boom. A little too short. Straighten this guy out a little bit better. Tighten them guys up. All right, try it again. Sweet. I'm going to glue in this voltage regulator so we can use like a 2S battery to supply power to the receiver and the reflex and everything that we're going to put on here. And with a bigger battery, it'll have longer life of voltage instead of having to use a speed control to supply our receivers. Right here, this little turnkey cheap BEC they call them. You have the ability by moving this to over to those two pins, making connection, or over to these two to go from 5 volts to 6 volt. It's definitely older. Now our receivers are, you know, they want 6 volts or up to 8.4 volts or something, but 6 volts will be perfectly fine for what we're doing, and it has like several amps, so it'll be able to supply the power for a while. So I think I'm just going to put one dab of hot glue and just stick that guy right there. And then the battery is going to go down here. And this little 2S 3300 LiPo will go down there also. And then we can plug it up. Or maybe I'll do it where you plug it up in the back. The lead is not very long on the voltage regulator. The servo lead is plenty long enough to come up here to where we're going to put our receivers. But maybe I'll glue this guy up like that, and then we can just plug it up. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put it right there. One little drop of glazoo. This is all knotted up because I had one of these interference thingies. So we want to put it right there. So I'm just going to put a drop of glue there, and then stick this guy on there. As soon as our glue gun gets warmed up, since we've got our glue going on, we'll get our flag set up for the motor. So this is going to represent the motor. As we give it throttle, we're going to have this little flag sweep back and forth. So I think these little servo horns right here are sufficient. And they're not. We got to get in our kit where these servos actually came from. So these guys will work. Just like so. Oh, we got glue. We got glue happening. Starting to get a little drippy. So where are we going to put this guy? Where are we going to put it again? I want to make it easy to plug up, not in the way of the receiver's going to go up here. We're going to do it right up here. Right on the side like that. Yeah, just like that. So we just need a little drip. Like so. And that guy is already stuck like Chuck. Since we're gluing, how about we put that guy right here? Then the wire the BEC can go back through it, and that'll kind of hold it from flopping around. And I'll just run it through like so. That, like that, and then we can plug it into our receivers. All right. One last thing to glue would be our little flag here. All right, we're going to do one demonstration. We're going to connect a receiver to our plane here, and then we'll bind it up to the transmitter. Now, this is before AS3X, before gyros, before anything. We've all heard stories from people that have been flying way longer than we have. They talked about building their plane. It takes the entire winter. and then they go out to fly, and something happens with the signal and it crashes immediately. You hear about stuff like that. Well, those guys, when they set their plane up with their transmitters, before AS3X, before any of that, they just had a receiver and their servos. And when you turned it on, there was no dancing of the control surfaces. You turned it on and it was on. So that's what we're going to do here real quick. So we have a basic receiver, no safe select, no AS3X, nothing. But we do have an on and off switch, and we're going to power it through this auxiliary 1. So our power coming from our BEC that we just glued in, and then channel 2 is the default for the aliens, and we're going to take a Y harness and we're going to plug it into the alien channel. The first one is bind and the second one throttle, or the first one is throttle and the second one is the aliens. I call them aliens because when I try to say it correctly, I get made fun of. The ailerons or something, the ailerons. And we're going to use the very far outside as the aliens. We'll make our wires a whole lot neater when we start doing a bunch of demonstrations. So we have the aliens hooked up. The very far outside ones are going to be the 2 aliens. And then elevator is channel 3 by default, and then the rudder. So our elevator is right here. Almost need an extension, but we're going to make it. And then the 4th channel by default is the rudder. And then we need to plug our throttle into channel number 1. And up front is our throttle. Will it reach back here? Doesn't matter where the receiver is. It can be upside down, it can be dangling like that. It doesn't matter because there is no AS3X and no gyro. But we are going to need to bind it, I believe. And then this will be our little flag for the throttle. Get a transmitter. Alright, got us a transmitter. Let's find our test plane here in the MX6. If we have a test plane in here. Nope, we'll add a new one. Add a new model. Create. Model type. Airplane. Model name will be test. Oh, test. T. E. Then we need to erase the other ones there. Nope. Back over to here. Bam. And bam. Nope. There we go. Now we need to go back here. And now we're getting it, Sean. Now we're getting it. There we go. Now back. And back. So we got test aircraft type. Wings normal. Or dual ailerons or flaperons or blah blah blah. But we're going to go normal because we're using a Y harness. And our tail is normal. And we're not going to do any of that. Bind. So let's get a bind plug in our plane here. We've got a bind plug right here. I'm going to put it into the bind port. Just like so. And turn the switch on. You guys can see it flash. Receiver is flashing.
Binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds.
Bound up. I'm going to turn it off and remove our bind plug. And I'm going to turn the transmitter off too. We'll get our bind plug out of here. That guy was stuck in there. Him was stuck in there. We're probably going to need to adjust our throttle flag. So we get a screwdriver ready for this guy. So we got the test plane, and transmitter goes on first. And remember, this was back in the day before AS3X and all that stuff. So when you're ready to go flying, you just turn your plane on. Okay, we're ready. Oh, no dancing, no nothing. So let's see. When we give it throttle, it goes like that. So let's make our throttle have the flag stand straight up before we give it juice. Now, put this screw back in there. Like that. Oop. So let's see our test plane in action. So let's see if the control surfaces are working in our direction. When we move the alien stick to the right, this right alien should go up. And it does. To the left, left goes up. And it does. Elevator should go up when you pull back on it. And it does. Rudder should go the same way the stick goes. And it doesn't. If you were flying your plane, you turn your rudder like that. The front wheel should turn to the right, and the rudder should follow it. So we need to reverse our rudder. Now it's correct. So we got our test plane all set up, and now it's ready to do all kinds of reflex stuff and all kinds of AS3X and different receivers and all kinds of goodies. So I'm glad it's built. I'm going to color code the control surfaces so we can say, hey, look at the the right red alien, or just put a little stamp on it or something. We'll figure something out. Maybe we'll put a motor on it and try to fly it. Over and out, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. That's the best way to support me. At 20,000, 3-jet giveaway. Adios. Happy flying.